Well, another expert says Russia and Iran now have numerous areas of mutual interest. Emil Avdaliani is a professor at the European University and the director of Middle East Studies at the Georgian think tank Geocase. He writes that at no point since the late 16th century, when Muscovy and Safavid Iran shared opposition to the expanding Ottoman Empire, have the two Eurasian states had such close ties. Well, that's from a piece he wrote for the Stimson.org. Professor Avdaliani joins us now from Tbilisi, Georgia. Good to have you with us, Professor.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So I want to start by talking about what Iran and Russia have in common. I mean, both are isolated by the West, both under sanctions, both want to evade those sanctions, and both have worked together as military allies in the past in Syria, in Afghanistan. Has the relationship between the two been fortified since Russia invaded Ukraine?
Yes, I think the invasion of Ukraine by Russia was a defining moment in Iran-Russia relations. Before that, Russia was always hesitant to throw its full support for Iran, whether it's in regional politics or on international arena. But with the war, with the sanctions against Russia, now, and certainly with isolation of Russia from the West, you see the gradual expansion of ties, alignment in essentially almost every sphere between the Islamic Republic and Russia. And one of those areas surely is the transportation corridors, which run to the south from Russia, from eastern side of the Caspian Sea, through the Caspian Sea, and the western part of that basin. So essentially, you see the alignment not only in political matters, but also in infrastructure. You also see how two countries align on how the future world order should look like from their perspective. And you have not really seen such an alignment, such a cooperation between these two Eurasian states for the past several centuries.
Yeah, so as you're saying, we are seeing this growing military alliance and political alliance, but also these economic ties. Talk to us more about the critical investment we're seeing, Russia and Iran and Russia.
Yes, the investment part too has grown over the past year. Essentially, Russia, as I said earlier, Russia was always hesitant to invest significantly into Iran due to Western sanctions, and then after Trump's withdrawal from the nuclear treaty because of the US sanctions. But with the war, you see the progress in that field too, and Russia pledged to invest tens of billions into Iran's gas and oil industry. But I think that more important is an agreement between the two countries reached more than a week ago on the construction, on the completion essentially of the railroad from Astara to Rasht. And that is the missing link, still missing link in the north-south transport corridor between these two countries. With the completion of this link, we will essentially see the full operation of the corridor running from the southern part of Iran to Russia's Baltic or Black Sea ports.
Talk to us more about the implications for the region of this growing alliance. There's no doubt that Russia has become more alienated as a result of its invasion in Ukraine. What are the pros and cons for Iran? What does strengthening this relationship with Russia mean for the Middle East, nuclear non-proliferation, sanction evasion? What are the implications?
Yes, I think that Iran, which due to its own isolation from the West for the past several decades, I would say, was always trying to get closer to Russia, but as I said, because of the Western sanctions, Russia was always hesitant. And with this war, Iran grasped the opportunity to have Russia closer to itself and essentially use Russia's isolation to its own benefit. So for Iran, closer ties with Russia, it's a critical component in the Islamic Republic's strategy of looking eastward, towards Asia, towards other markets than the West, and to balance the pressure emanating from the US and at times from the European Union. So Russia, in that sense, plays an essential role in this nascent strategy of Iran.
Professor, I want to read a quote from a piece you wrote recently. You said, for Tehran, closer ties with Russia is seen as ushering in a truly multipolar Eurasian order with increased maneuverability and a bigger pool of foreign policy choices. So aside from Russia, what other ties are we beginning to see develop, and how does that compare to Iran's recent history?
Well, I think these two Eurasian states, they've been always championing the idea of multipolarity and multi-vectorism, essentially, in foreign policy. It's been growing. I mean, this sentiment has been growing since the 90s, since the end of the Cold War. But we see the real progress only over the past couple of years, and essentially since the war in Ukraine began last year. So for them, cooperation between these Eurasian states essentially is not a military alliance per se, as many people see it in the West. For them, simply closer cooperation in economic terms, but also competition in many other areas, such as political matters at times, means that they essentially balance the pressure emanating from the West. And they need each other simply to have numerous options, numerous possibilities when it comes to foreign policy choices. So for them, it's not really important to sign military alliances or political alliances. They don't really need that. And this assumption, which at times is still dominant among Western scholars, that we are not really seeing a true alliance between Iran and Russia, my opinion is that they simply do not really need an official alliance. They are quite comfortable with each other in this sort of in their effort essentially to build a multi-polar Eurasian order, I would say.
It's really good to get your perspective. Professor Avdaliani, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.